wherever you're going live from, and I
We're
can
going
go
live. It's setting that up. And hi, Rick. Meeting is now streaming live on Facebook. So you can see if that, now I'm going to see if I can find this. Welcome, everyone. We're here with Rick Jewers for a little bit of a conversation coming from Conscious Connective Awareness Gateway. I'm just going to check a few things and we'll wait for some people to come in, don't you think? I'm going to, because I can see it from my phone, obviously.
Okay, where did you put it so I can find it?
On Cosmic Utopian Rose page.
Okay.
Going there now, and let's see what's happening there. Yes, there we are. Okay, so we're there.
Okay,
so,
we got 47 on there.
That's fast. Yeah. So I'm going to edit the post a little bit and see if I can get your name to highlight that you're tagged. You can't do that in there. I'm here. Oops.
No, here we go. I can share it right from here, I think. Yeah, I'll just share it public. Good. We're good to go.
Yeah, do that because it's somehow when you write it in like this, it's not highlighting you, but you're there. And I can share this out too while we're here.
Yeah.
You shared it to Real Angels already?
No, but I can.
All right, I'm doing that already.
But you're doing it?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I believe
I'll just sit here and smoke cigarettes then until you're done.
I have green teeth from the background. Oh no. Let's see. Yeah, let's see who's now. How do we see the comments and things from this? That's what I'm wondering.
On Zoom, unless you put in the chat box, if you set it up, you may not see comments.
It says everyone publicly and privately. So.
Okay. Do you wish for me to sing you a song while you're getting that set up?
Yes, please.
Anyway, I love this one. Oh Lord, it's hard to be humble when you're perfect in every way. I can't wait to look in the mirror, 'cause I get better looking each day. I couldn't carry a tune in a bucket right now.
I probably should have wrote a better greeting in the beginning of that, but for all intents and purposes, it is up. You sound just fine. You're wonderful.
But your voice is it's amazing. Yeah, I love your singing. You're right on tune, right in key, and harmonics. Wow.
So I think I'm gonna try and.
So we're still live?
Yeah, we're live.
Do we have any viewers left, or when I started singing, they might have all left?
I can't, to tell you the truth, I'm not sure. We have 11 viewers. All right, folks, bear with us. We're here live with Rick Jewers, and we're waiting for just a few more folks to come in, and we will begin.
You know that many messages in that Lord, it's hard to be humble song, right?
Yes.
Because we're striving, for perfection. But also, if you look at the message about where he says he can't wait to look in the mirror, one of the things with the reversing the aging process, which is very true and can be instant, it's so very good, deeper message in there. And
Yes.
also, we must rise above that modesty and humility to own divinely what we are and to own our divine missions there.
Yes.
Again, we can't have restrictions like being totally modest where you don't speak up and don't play your divine role. We are no longer humans. And,
We're not what we thought we were. That's for certain. And we're much more than we thought we were. What we
yeah, with this great awakening, that's the transition.
Yeah, I'm inviting a few people here, and then we can further share that out.
Is my hair messed up enough, or should I mess it up a little bit more?
It looks quite good to me. It looks perfect. Okay, once I do all this, I
put
can.
them out of place. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, okay, Zahara's here. Perfect. Lovely.
Pardon?
All right. So, will I be able to see that? So, if I go like that now, and let's see what's happening now.
Up, or should I mess it up a little bit more?
Okay. It looks quite good to me. It looks perfect. Okay. Once I do all this, I'm just gonna turn the volume off on the media on the phone. Or maybe we should hear where we're at. It's a little bit of a delay, isn't there?
Okay. Yeah. My cheeks look a little bit pale. You get any rouge you can give me there?
I got something. Okay, let's see who's here. Oh, hi. Okay, Heather Nicole. Hello, Linda Hickton. Hello, everyone. Helen Barron, Linda Hickton, Anna Toothman. Hello, welcome, and thank you for joining us today here with Rick Jewers in Spain. And I am Rosalind Beth Horowitz, known as Cosmic Utopian Rose. And we're casting from Israel, but actually we're from casting out into the collective, beautiful, ethereal waters of everywhere. So no matter where we are, we seem to be able to connect.
Yeah, I see. I see here behind me today the white Trojan horse full of light workers ready to transition the world.
Indeed, and that's a great thing. Oh, good. We have a bunch of friends coming in. Fantastic. Very nice. Hi, Star. Welcome. Okay. I'm going to turn the volume a little bit up so we know where everyone is. All right. I want everyone to know that we do have a slight delay in the cast. So please bear with us and be patient if we listen up on the side here. I have it playing in my phone at the same time to see where you're hearing. It's a minute behind, a few seconds behind. Yeah, it's really literally like 5 seconds or 4 seconds behind. It's not too bad.
Just thinking about putting us a little bit higher.
Okay.
Yeah, just give me a moment. I'll find something a little bit higher for the straight back.
It's like watching a replay while we're watching it live. Oh, we're feeling the symptoms, aren't we? The symptoms of the changes our physical and spiritual bodies are going through.
Okay, there we are.
And I just want to send everybody a lot of love and big hugs and wish you an easygoing time. And I believe me, I'm feeling it too. I'm having all the physical symptoms, the everything I can imagine. I'm also feeling that as well. So I sympathize with you, and we will get through. I know that's true. I thought that today we would have a discussion on a few things. Just some of the things we could talk about are letting go. Seems to be a very big topic lately, that we should just not have pressures of meeting any kind of special requirements to be a part of uh, the, as we call it, the ascension process. And truly, no one has to be anything more or less than anyone else. If you're feeling any pressures and like there's something you could be doing more or need to be doing, it's not really a concern that you really should have. Just let it go. Just be yourself. Basically, I think it's helpful in how to dissolve the lines of differentiation that are narrowing the perceptivity, basically narrowing our vision from our inner knowing, our intuitive inner knowing, our true selves. Don't you think, Rick?
Oh, actually, I was just thinking about, is any of this smoke coming through the screen there and bothering you?
Oh, I can smell it.
Okay.
It's not
Oh,
bothering me.
what was your question again? I'm being like what humans would call a bit of a smart ass here today.
That's
But
okay.
the energy is very good and vibrant, so I'm
It's
having
perfect.
fun. Okay, what was
You're-
your question? I'll get serious now.
It's okay. We need
Serious
somebody.
A or serious B? Yeah.
Yeah. Um, well, let's
Or
see.
both. I love both. Yeah. Or, well, okay. What's your question again? Sorry. I
Now I
was a
see.
class
You know
clown
what I'm
too
going to
when I
do?
was human. Sorry for interrupting.
You're not interrupting. I am thinking that we will pace ourselves with spacing in between the conversation so that the time will catch up with itself, maybe, or not. But I was thinking on how to dissolve the lines. We've drawn these lines of expectations and things like this, dissolving the lines of differentiation that are really the things that separate us by our beliefs and our expectations of ourself or societal expectations, dogmas that we have. And those things are pressures, and they're narrowing our perceptivity. That means our understanding of what is self and the inner knowing. And obviously, those matrix huh, implantations, we could say, for ideas and whatnot, are the things that are designed to pretty much distract us and block us from completely opening our hearts, opening ourselves, and being able to tap into our true inner knowing through the heart space. It's just that simple.
Okay, okay. If we may, let's look at expectations then. We can break this down a little bit and actually how an expectation restricts. So before I go any further with the expectation, is what we need to look at this time is each co-creator, you and I and everyone watching here, uh, we need to look at the extents of your manifestation ability and your co-creator ability at this time.
Mm.
And essentially, all creation, it's done in the now moment and to go forward. And what you can look at as inhibitors and restrictions to creation is heaven and expectation upon it. For creating here in this lower dimension where we are at, you must trust divinity and you must only put out an intent of that of which you want to see. You don't restrict it by having an expectation on the outcome, because what an expectation is, it's a human logical imprint at creating something in the lower density. We are all now co-creators here to transition the whole reality. And if you have a certain expectation that is based on an old human imprint, well, immediately you begin to taint what you are creating, and you begin to exclude the higher universal energy and the divine energy with that, because you are restricting it to such a way that it's coming from the human logic. So you need to be very meticulous and keep it simple, just with the intent, what you wish to create, instead of expecting a certain outcome. So you need to trust with this and keep it as simple.
So perfectly said. Yes,
Because we're
absolutely.
transitioning, you know, I do see this, Beth, and I love you so much. I
Thank you. I love you
do
too.
see I do see this coming up quite often. However, it has to come up to be transitioned. So when it comes up in an individual, as you're saying, it's perfect, because then it's time to be transitioned when they realize that. So all is in divine timing, and we are in that timing right now for, you know, all to just review on their creations, to just keep it simple to what they wish to create.
Yes, indeed, indeed, indeed.
Now, with
And
expectations during this process, you may desire to have a certain outcome, and you may get a variance of it. And the reason why you may get, let's say, not exactly what you tried to create is because you're still creating from a lower density area, and you're utilizing, let's say, you're creating from a 4D dimension, but you're utilizing 5D techniques. So, whereas things are different in 5D, laws of physics, for example, are different in 5D than they are in 4D, well, you can get some distortion in your creations. Now, what I wish to say, there is definitely nothing wrong with your manifestation abilities. We are just in that time that you will witness fluctuations in your creation and also in your synchronicities that you will see. You may, all creation at this point now begins in the consciousness, you know, with intent from
indeed,
the heart. So during this transitional period, um, the more pure your consciousness is, then the more exact it will also create. Everything is all interconnected with your creation, and the more pure you are at heart, also the more pure the projections of your creation will be, and hence all of the inner work everyone has done to not have expectations upon another, and in, you know, the areas of judgment. It's very important, as we have all come to learn, to not have expectations upon another, and to accept them as they are.
indeed, indeed. That is very well said. And a lot of the topics out there are, and uh, really something I had been especially wanting to assist with on a collective level, on a personal level. These are the things we work at within ourselves. On a collective level, when we're working at these things within ourselves, um, I hope our live stream stayed up. I think I lost a connection here. Maybe. Let's see. Yes. I'm checking to see if we're still on because it just suddenly kicked out. And if it did, we'll have to sign back in, okay?
Yeah, yeah.
See if you can see it on your, oh, you're on your phone. Let me go here.
What occurred? I wasn't.
I'm not sure, but what I can see is the link apparently, they're on to us, you know.
Says it's live on Facebook. What I'm
Okay.
seeing.
Yeah. Okay. It's back. Maybe we are still here. Yeah. 22 people. That's a beautiful number. Okay. I just lost the cast. I thought we got booted off, but we're still here. It's wonderful. Rick, I agree completely with what you're saying. And how do you let go of such things that have happened in your lifetime that are the things that we're holding on to inside that? I'll tell you what, sometimes we wonder with so much pain and all the things we've experienced, is it, and how on earth and off earth is it possible to let go of these things? And people say, oh, you're all love and light. And, you know, what about the real things that are happening on the ground and inside? Well, nobody is disregarding that. What we're saying is to let go simply means to trust, to have complete faith and be open to receive the gift that is coming in. And there is no shortage of abundance. The gift is abundance and freedom. And there's no shortage of that. As soon as we decide to not give our attention and our energies to all of the things that distract us from really looking forward and looking inward and looking forward to joy and happiness, as soon as we let go of all of that, it comes in abundance. And there's no shortage of that. So be open to receive. There is nothing to chase and there's nothing to catch up to. You just have to be open. There's no thing to chase. You are it. Most are kicking and screaming, holding on, and just sure that that reality that they're experiencing is just impossible to ignore and get rid of. But the only way to change something is to change your perception of it. That's how, let's say, people who have control over their body temperatures, and we see these programs with people who have superpowers. Those superpowers are in all of us. People who walk on hot coals and their feet don't get burned. It's all relative. Their perception and their speaking to their every cell in their body and their physical. Our spirit is able to communicate to our mind, which is able to control everything in this physical vessel. So then when we do that connection, that's why I say conscious connective awareness gateway. When you open that gateway, whatever you want to call it, and make that bridge between the heart and the mind, there is nothing that you cannot do. And yes, abundance will come flowing in as soon as you let go of the notions that you have no choices and you have no control. It is us that has every control, isn't it, Rick?
Indeed.
Yeah. So, yes, let go and let it flow. What channel are you on? You know?
Yeah. So,
tune in. Tune in. Yeah.
Yeah. So, may I say that, let's just say, like with a yogi and what have you, it took years of, training, strenuous training, you could even say, to establish discipline and interconnecting with their energetic fields and the biological body.
Mm.
And yeah, it's quite a process to discipline one's vessel and energetic field. However, with this, in the past, there were very few. However, with this ascension, the gates to that have been blown wide open for so many to advance into their energetic prowess and, yes, more of the control over the physical vessel to heal it and to advance it and to integrate it with the energetics at this time. So, it's the process, the ascension process is much like, becoming a yogi or what have you that was very disciplined and advanced, or of course in the martial arts. These are all foundations that are similar to get you to certain levels in your progress with being, integrating. I shouldn't say integrating, with activating your light body as well. So with some, they went that route. With others, it was done abruptly, and of course, it's a very real thing. Now, when you look at it uh, from what a human would say about free will, actually, no, from your human perspective, there was no free will, because there were ones that were awakened, if you will, abruptly. They didn't choose it from the human level, it was chosen from, again, from the soul level and also the divine plan to be awakened. So with that, there are also ones that, overnight were awakened and then began a lengthy, for some, a lengthy process of knowing about the reasons why they're here and about empowering themselves to the fullest, which is directly connected to their divine purpose and also their divine mission.
Indeed, indeed, I agree.
So I got
Um,
kind of off track there.
Not at all. In fact, we don't have any, that's just it. You see, this is a perfect example. We're not putting any hard drawn lines on anything. There is no pressure. We're here to take off the pressure cap and just be a flat.
Yeah,
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 there.
and that is the quickest way to excel as well in this ascension process. Yes. And again, it's all interconnected to the letting go and just allow and trust to follow the open doors with it. That is the ease of access. When you begin to restrict and try to control this divine uh, thing, ascension, what's going on. No, you can quickly get set on your butt because it's not about that. You're being guided from the soul, and you do need to follow your signs and follow the road of least resistance with it. And for ones that do not comply and obey their signs they're given, well, very quickly, they run into roadblocks, and these roadblocks are actually guidance mechanisms to get them back on track, for their higher divine missions, what they must do. However, also, it and again, it directly depends upon the level of consciousness at any given time. And what we find is that the level of consciousness, it fluctuates, and it has to with us. And during those periods, it can cause slight confusion, and one may miss their signs or what have you. So
Indeed.
to alleviate, yeah, to alleviate, this confusion, it's always best to keep yourself empowered to the highest, keep in your most highest atmosphere, and also keep in connection with others. The connection with others is so important. And as we know, to separate, well, that's disempowerment as well. So you have so many empowering tools. And when you remember these, when you dip down into the 4D, the more tools that you have, let's say when you're up in a 5D state of being, the more tools and techniques that you integrate into your consciousness and learn while you're there, then the more you have when you dip that you can access. Because when you dip into the 4D state of consciousness, the veil comes down and it begins to cloud the judgment and blocks the inner knowing. However, the more tools you're able to put into the consciousness when you're in the 5D, well, the more you will have available to you. For example, um, if you dip to 4D, one of the essentials that's been ingrained is raise your vibration. That's the first thing to get out of there so you can uh, let the veil come up so your consciousness can interconnect back with the 5D, the higher self.
And if I may interject on that wonderful point that you're making, that is, again, take the pressure cap off. It's you're having an experience. It feels very real to you. It's very intense. And how do you say, okay, how do I raise my vibration when I feel like crap right now and I'm so feel like in this? Well, that's where we have to remind ourselves of our free will. And to change anything, we have to change our perspective and tell ourselves it's okay. And it really is okay. And that will take you out of that, what's pulling you down into that lower vibration, and release yourself to say, you know what? I don't want this. I don't need this feeling. It's not for my highest good. And if I choose not to hold on to that, watch what happens. Watch how it changes.
If I may, one of the quickest ways when one gets down there, if you're able to remember the perspective that you're just playing a role, that you're in a movie, and you are the director of the movie, part of the movie that you're in. So again, just by remembering that and bring yourself to the now moment, you say, okay, you're in the now. How do you wish to act out in this now moment in the movie and going forward? You don't need to look at anything in the past in linear time. You can drop it all in a moment and just be in the now. Know you're playing a part in the movie. Which way do you wish to direct yourself going forward? Do you wish to be aligned with the past if there's negative things in there? You don't need to, because you have a choice to just drop all of that and and to know that it doesn't matter, that you are now no longer human. You have a choice to embrace to the fullest your divinity and your divine power that comes with it. So in the past, let's say where you were just playing a small role as an actor in the movie, you're now the director. Before you were an actor where the dark was ruling everything you did and controlling you. Now the table has flipped. You are the director of your own reality. Where do you wish to take it? Do you wish to remain attached to the past, to the things that no longer serve and that can keep lowering your vibration in the now moment? You have a choice. No, detach from it. Uh, my experience was quite uh, different than most. But in the blink of a moment, I just severed everything from uh, my humanoid existence there. But again, it was easier for but it is done by all. You just need to let go of your old realities. If it's not resonating and if you're having complications in there, well, right in the spur of the moment, as quick as I say this, you can make the choice, realign and go with your higher divine path and make it magical. Don't keep beating your head against a brick wall in part of the 3D reality. Jump out of it. Sure, if you're having financial hardships and are just so sick every day, well, do something different. Just let it go and just say you can't do it. Take the leap of faith and trust, and you will see
Beautiful.
that you don't die. We don't die here. And you will see by doing that you activate and within you your higher power, and then divinity comes in and supports that you are okay. You are always okay. You just
Indeed.
need to trust that and use your tools to keep you in the now moment and going forward towards beauty and, yes, perfection and harmony.
Indeed. And what are those tools? What can we classify or quantify as tools? Tools are not necessarily physical things. They are literally energetic tools. They are spiritual tools. They are energetic. Hmm, they are thoughts. What we have are channels. I've been channeling all morning from source, just streaming in love, energy, information, feelings to share with the collective, and things that we are all a part of and or all capable and will be ever more progressively capable of as we cohesively come together stronger and stronger and changing the literal energetic feeling of the collective waters in ourselves, in our planet, and in our entire state of being as a collective. So I say, what channel are you on? And in at every moment, there are an infinite amount of channels, bandwidths of frequency vibrating in the electromagnetic universe, operating, playing, emanating innumerable layers of harmonics, converging and merging all universes existing within the continuum. That is all, that's everything. And simultaneously creating new intelligible manifestations of origin from within itself. The sparks of divine creator source, the one father mother, unfathomable. Un is one, father, father, mother. Our perception changes everything. And that's how, in an instant, you too can take control over yourself and your life. Did you ever really look into what you're thinking and saying to yourselves? I started doing that, and suddenly everything started to appear more clearly. Suddenly words weren't words anymore, and phrases weren't phrases anymore, and they were always there. So we were always here, and you were always there in your heart and in your mind. Your DNA is now rising into a state of crystalline clarity, and your consciousness is coming along as well. That's rising as well. So that light that is shining in enables us to have the clarity and the brightness to see where our paths are from within. And so it's not too much needed outside of yourself except to realize what is there. So the original the idea, the law of one, of us being one, is that I am, the I am that you are. That is the divine creator. Simply any name we can think of, it's I am. I am in all things, and no thing is as I am in all ways. Anu, Inu. Anu is the physical body, and the Inu, it's reborn. So we have that ability, and we are literally being rebirthed in our awareness, our consciousness, our beingness, and our connectivity to the divine creator and to all that is, to our planet and to each other. So every day, we just need to remember who we are and who the person that's standing next to us is. They're us. How do you want to be treated? How do you want to feel? Yes, Rick.
Yeah, indeed. You know, like the mantras, the I am presence, very valuable. And, you know, with it's the Saint Germain teachings as well. And again, the importance of that, this deals with your creation, and it's also your empowering moment that you can do it in a second. You say, I am happy, woo, and you are. And, you know,
Indeed.
again, you create in the moment. So, yes, you say, I am happy, and you create that moment. And that's where your focus is at. Now,
Indeed.
when you
Indeed.
say that, the thing is, you say, okay, I'm happy. And then don't think about the negative chatter thing. Don't say, but, you know, this is negative in my life or what have you. No, you're
Yeah,
happy. And, you know, again, your perspective, how you can look at things. And
indeed.
there may be something there negative. However, you can change that perspective and it evolves that what is negative to positive. So you can take each experience and draw the value from it. And you can exclude negative experiences from your existence by doing this. And this is also part of the ascension. You know, the more you empower yourself, the more control that you have on your reality. And the control on your reality is actually through the conscious thought and the polarity of that thought. If you allow negative chatter to constantly come in there, then the negative chatter is dictating what you do and what you create. So again, you need the control of the mind, of the consciousness. You need to train the brain to exclude the negativity. Now, many of the teachers in the past would say, you know, okay, you need dark, you need negativity, but no, we have surpassed that. That you as creators create all of the beautiful things. That's what we're here to do. Negativity and darkness no longer plays a role once one reaches such a level with this.
I can say
So
that
again,
definitely.
yeah.
If I can interject in that, it's not that like anything that we ever knew or experienced or was in any number of any lifetimes we have lived this experience, but not as we are in the present now. And it's not, there's no duality and no polarity in the sense of that anything is wrong. So we're not trying to say that get rid of the darkness and only see the light. We wouldn't know there was light. If the room was dark, we wouldn't know when the light turned on. So it's not a sense that it's anything bad or wrong. It's just an awareness. And I realized that the confusion that happens out in the collective is because people, again, certain things will trigger old feelings like guilt because someone has a different perception, and they'll say, well, you're not acknowledging that because that is something. It's as real as they think it is, obviously. No denying and not judging anyone for invalidating what they are feeling and making real in their own minds. But remember, again, we have the power to make that, or to be or not to be.
Well, may I? Yeah, what this ascension is about is transitioning out of the darkness and the negativity that is no longer required. And each one uh, goes back to positivity and full light. And what the light body is the absence of any darkness or lower density forms. So one does need to come to the point where there is no more darkness or negativity. If you keep embracing what you call a darkness within you, you keep yourself anchored to this reality. So, no, the ascension is about overpowering every bit of that darkness that was there. You come to a level of balance, what they called before, but we're beyond that. You're now wiping out the darkness. If you have the darkness and the negativity within you, that is the anchor to these dimensions. It's got to go. If you want to ascend, no, you don't need any more darkness.
Not only for us to ascend, but for our entire surroundings, our collective experience that we are creating with our beloved planet, all ascending together, as our planet is also a living being.
Yeah, I wish to say also, not all will be ascending. There'll
It's a
be
choice.
roughly 5.8 billion. So about 2/3 or so will be ascending.
Well, again, I'm sure there are, as with all natural, as with here again, let's put that in a deeper perspective. That is called, it's not a scare tactic. It's not something to be afraid of if you're in that percentage or that percentage. You know what it is? It is the law of nature. It is your nature and your will together that will determine what you ultimately will be or not to be. So this is something that you feel and you want with your heart, to ascend, to be to be filled with light, to feel love, to be happy. Then that is what will be. I tell you this, that is what will be, because that is what is in the mechanization of the energies and the thoughts and the will that are flowing through your vessel and your heart. That's how you make it happen for yourself. And you don't have anything to fear. There is no fear in that. Just be. So be grateful for the life that we have the will to be what we will. So it is. Be happy. That's a choice, isn't it, Rick?
Um, yes, it is a choice. However, again, I would not say it's what humans would call a full free will choice, because again, as I said, many have been awakened, and so
They're
all
subjective.
that are awakened are going, yes, and
They're
ascending.
subjective to, again, it's the natural laws and the ones that we carry in ourselves that we're holding on to. And we're subjected to that, aren't we? We're subjected to our own limitations. We're subjected to our own limitations and where that has us. And we do have that choice to believe that fully or no?
Well, may I say, one are subjected to them during the course of the process to overpower them and let them go. Yes.
Yes, it can be.
However, however, you know, what I will say with the limitations, what occurs when one that is ascending that wishes to focus upon the limitations, what occurs, it becomes so dense that they have no choice but to go the other way from it. And it will make them very sick
Indeed.
because what they're actually doing is resisting their timeline and their place in divinity.
Yes.
And, it'll become very dense for them until, again, that they come to realize that there is another way, another door, which is where they should be going. So, from the human
Mm.
aspect, no, there is not free will, um, full free will for anyone ascending. You must comply with the overall ascension and the divine plan, which at the soul level you fully agree with because that's why you're here. So
Yes.
it's that battle between the human consciousness and your divine identity in bringing down your divine identity to know who you are, what you're here to do, and what your purpose is. And again, you are no longer human. So those human aspects that interfere with that, even
Mhm.
your timelines or your daily life, if that interferes, it must go. And what occurs, any that is hanging onto that tooth and nail, onto that old timeline, eventually they'll be ripped away from it. And because again, it's a humanoid action and reaction out of fear to hang on to that. And it's contradictory and in full contrast to what each of us divinely are at the soul level. So it's divinely assured, yeah, that eventually ones are pulled away from it, and the more they try to hold on, the more difficult it will become because it's divinely assured. There's an overall divine plan here. It has a certain linear timing on it when humanity must be uh, evolved and also in conjunction with the universe. So each one here, it's not a selfish um, mission. It's all inclusive of all that we are, and everyone must be in alignment with that divine plan. So if they're not, they meet huge resistance and roadblocks until they get aligned with it.
That's why we have these physical symptoms that are alerting us to when we are resisting what is for our own betterment and our own highest good. So listen to your bodies, take care of them, take care of yourselves, because you can be one way or the other. And yes, it is a choice, and there are no guarantees for anyone except the efforts that they make themselves to just be in their own awareness and keep making those efforts to be open and continue believing and doing what you're doing. Don't even for a minute imagine that you might be anything other than what you hope to be and what you hope for yourself and the earth. Whether you are will be here at that moment or during that moment or not, your contribution as yourself is the most important thing you can possibly do or be. There are people, I'm sure, who are in a state perhaps where I have to stop for a moment and say there's a presence with us. And I'm very happy about that. I'm watching the angelic presences fly around in the background on Rick's screen. And I'm sure some of you out there can see that. There's a golden fleck just went across the screen there. And what that tells me is, since I'm still in this blissful state of channeling the divine and seeing us here, that we were just meant to be here with you now, and so grateful to be here with you. that these are just signs. I cannot say for a moment that it is not worthy of believing in everything and anything you possibly couldn't imagine that you could be, because you really are that. And if you look around, to me, that's my confirmation that we're in the right place, doing the right thing, seeing these presences flying around Rick's screen, because we're here in this space together, in this heart space. So I think it's a blessing for all of us. And I want to send that out with a lot of love to everyone. There goes another one. That's amazing.
I'm getting close to
Laughter.
ascending.
Yes, it's wonderful. So, yes, I put a background on, but I'm pretty sure there's a lot of action behind me. And we're seeing that on the other side of the screen here, which is just perfect. I am
So,
so thrilled.
so if I may, you know, the emphasis at this time, I just put out on my timeline this morning, we need to get back, you know, to the relationships and the energy that is created within the relationships. Would you, does that resonate for if we could speak perhaps a bit about that at this time?
Why not? Why not? There's nothing that's off limits here. Yeah.
Oh, great. Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, for I individually, I was instructed last night again uh, to let's say, uh, raise the vibration again in what I do, but also in what I do to take the direction towards more delivering more of the higher knowledge out there. And one of the emphasis is again on the relationships at this time because they are so important that the energy that is created between two, and this needs to be purified as well, and because it does impact reality what's out there.
Indeed. Indeed.
So, you know, the stages that we're at on an individual basis, being prepared for the higher divine relationships, you know, the inner work again was all a process of that to be able to come together at this time. And, you know, one of the important reasons why to come together in these higher relationships is creating that energy, because what you now have is you have many co-creators that are able to manifest and co-create at the highest levels ever known upon the surface. So when you actually again have two coming together in, let's say, very high levels of harmonics, that they're able to influence the reality at a much greater rate at transitioning what is negative, what is fearful out there into the love and in the higher vibration. So again, it's so important at this time with you know, the divine couples
Yes.
to be, you know, together and creating that good, positive love energy to change reality. But now this is all over Gaia, and this is also to assist in uh, transmuting and transitioning the negative imprint that was here, so that again, this is Gaia with the negative imprint. We're here on this other layer to bring Gaia and all of the masses up to this higher level where they break that control of the suppression and the fear as well. So again, these are anyone that is awakened, you're actually more efficient at this time being in a relationship, or at least, you know, being connected and gathering with others in on a more conscious level and interaction working there, because again, the energy that is created from gatherings and also individual and also couples relationships is having more. of an impact upon reality than any time before.
It certainly adds it's a great added value to the entire procedure, that the entire procession. It's a tremendous added energetic value to the entirety of the whole energetic value that is amassing due to the increase in the awareness and the awakening of the entire mass on the planet, the whole Earth population, as I call it. And that is the percentage of that's tipping the scales toward the light and bringing the vibration higher. That is what is facilitating this all the complete changes for our highest good, definitely. And the divine couples, there is no understatement here when we say that the love and the expressions in their most purest levels and ways are a huge, huge, it's an amazing,
One
there's
thing,
hardly words to put to that, but it is a humongous contribution to the evolutionary changes physically, spiritually, and on every level that we are going through now. Because we're also assisted because we're moving higher into the realms or further into the continuum, because we're all in this. Our planet is not sitting down somewhere. It's inside of the entire continuum. So we're just going further into those consciousness levels, if you will, and the realization of that, what's happening when two come together as a divine couple, and they consummate the actual confirmation and awareness of the power of what's happening in those moments when they're connecting and converging. Then
yeah,
it's absolutely felt, and it ripples across all all dimensions.
yes, yeah. One thing I was going to say is that the immense prowess that comes with this now on an individual basis, um, with the transition of the relationships,
Mm.
what we need to look at is that, let's say, before we reached this level, that there was a perspective of how one's thought the perfect harmonious relationship should be, but
Mm.
they perspected it from the human logical level. So, what has occurred? They had this template to go by. However, it no longer serves once you enter divinity and the higher states of being. So, this template, what they had imagined the harmonious relationship should be, it needs to transition as well to fit the higher template. For example, if you keep into what you thought a human perfect relationship was to be, you will also keep it in the lower densities where it is compatible with that density. So it needs to be evolved to integrate the higher aspects, like um, higher divine guidance, part of the divine plan. If you need to be located somewheres, you need to integrate with that into the relationship. You cannot box the relationship in to a selfish aspect, thinking it's only about two, because no, it's not. In the 5D relationship, it's it's not a relationship just for two to explore and be in love. It's connected to the overall divine plan because of the energy that is created. Therefore, the overall divine plan is also, it plays a part, and it dictates where that relationship must go. So you cannot apply logic, old human logic and the old programming to what it should be. You need to be flexible and be open and to understand that you are no longer human, that you are divine, and the information for the perfect divine relationship is being integrated constantly, and you must evolve to fit that.
Yes, and as to on every level and in everything, in all the things that are a part of that, relationships, divine relationships, individuals too. No one is really left out of this. Yes, there are special um, concessions that are really specifically related to the purpose and the effects of the divine couples and what's happening and the effects of that on the ascension itself. And then again, let's not understate the entire effect of the collective, because like every great thing, there has to be something that's believing in it and supporting it. And us doing that within ourselves also is supporting that whole energetic connection that starts from within us individually and ripples out and even supports as the divine couples, because we're also susceptible to our humanness, if you will. And we are also placed with challenges that push us to raise our vibration and our understandings of ourselves and what's happening. So yes, we all get that.
Yeah. So, all of these can be mastered again and brought into the place of the now. And,
Mm,
some of these in relationships is the controlling aspect from either party. It needs to be, what we're going here. The idea, uh, relationship is to have the balanced, both sides of 50-50 in the relationship. However, again, each side cannot control that relationship. What actually controls it is the overall divine plan again. So part of the trick is for each individual within the relationship to not control the relationship as well. So it's very it's about letting go and trusting again fully. However,
yes.
one thing I have seen within the relationship, what can cause in the past some confusion if you have one directly receiving divine guidance and you have the other that is not, then it creates kind of a conflict if they try to control and resist the overall divine plan as well, then you cause a separation mode with this. So, what needs to be done with this is just to have full trust, no expectation,
Mhm.
and trust the other that the guidance they're getting as well is legitimate, and to trust that and follow it. And what occurs is that then both receives the same guidance and the same information because they're not any longer trying to control it, which is like with any relationship, a control is always done out of the fear uh, response and reaction. And in
Yes.
the new relationships, you're going to taint them if you have these old fear programs in there. And again, choice has to be made. Do you wish to stay in the old humanoid relationships, or are you ready and fully open to let go of that and evolve into the new? So again, you need to relinquish all control and go to a place of trust. And, you know, in these relationships, there are periods of confusion that does come in because we're fluctuating from 5D to 4D. And, you know, it can cause a bit of conflict and contrast in relationships when that occurs. But to assist anyone, um,
There
again,
are
choose.
there are reasons for that. There's reasons for those fluctuations. And if I can add also, and not to, I'm sorry to cut you off there, but I truly, there are reasons for those fluctuations. And like Rick was saying, not to be afraid of that, and don't go into the old way of thinking that something's wrong and everything's going to go sideways in the relationship, but truly look instead with a new perspective for those fluctuations to guide you to again review where you are in that now moment, that you don't stay stuck in the old way of thinking. Like Rick is saying, it's true. And that will help you to progress and also strengthen your union and have it grow instead of having it possibly dissolve due to just pretty much neglect of just being a watcher of your own reactions and your own thoughts, and responsible to your own awareness of self. The whole thing is a simplicity of self. So
It's also, you know, to evolve the relationships again, is the full surrender to the divine plan. That's what's occurring. And one of the reasons, excuse me, for that surrender is because this is the divine plan up here. We are here. The reason we are here is because we didn't fully know how to get up here. So by surrendering to whatever is given from up here, then you can rise to it. However, if you remain down here trying to control it from this level, you're going to remain down here. The keys to your relationships is be open to the highest without expectation and control, to alleviate and eliminate, you know, all of these humanoid actions. With that, it allows you to rise indeed, and pay attention, you know, to your signs and your guidance and what have you. Now, also, having said this, when you have two in a relationship that are supposed to be rising, again, anything before they rise, as you were saying, it happens for a reason. Anything that needs to be reconciled that is not pure and in alignment with the divine plan at this level, it does come up between the two.
it'll
It,
come up like a bucket of ice on your head for sure.
yeah, and it's at this point you have the full power of finding the remedy and to reconcile it. So then, boom, you jump up into the magical realm. So again, you cannot go up here until you're purified. So you're given the opportunity down here, if you're having conflict in your relationship, to master it and resolve it and not allow it to control the relationship. So again, these things are done. And yes, there are reasons when all of this comes up. And the quickest way in the relationship again is you know, I watched a video yesterday, uh, and I did put it out. It was I didn't watch it. I listened to it. I did put it out for to assist the divine masculine. And one thing I heard the teacher kind of saying in that is he was speaking to a male about the feminine. And it, what the teacher said, he suggested if the feminine needed a couple months of her time alone or her space, then he suggested to do that. Now, this is fine. And yes, it totally, you need In the lower human relationships, you need that respect of the other. However, when you began to get higher in these relationships, immediately you identify separation at really being a hindrance, and it should not be there. So, what I suggest is that we're going to the unity with the higher relationships, not separation. So that can contradict, and it depends on what level ones are at in the relationship with it. For example, in the beginnings of the relationship, the isolation is important to have respect for one to work upon their self. However, there comes the point that when everyone has worked, or the two in the relationship has worked upon their self, has mastered all of the impurities, then there is no longer the need for separation because it's done. So again, you see the transition. Yes, in the lower relationships, time apart is respected, and it is essential for the one to work upon themselves or both parties. However, you come to the point where all of that work is done, and it's no longer a point to be separated, that you should be together.
Yes, and I can add to that for those of us and those of you, some of us in divine relationships already, and some who are not as of yet, but we are ultimately in a divine relationship, and that begins with ourselves. So don't worry about focusing on that. Will you have time? Will you meet that special, special one? But I can tell you, if you work on dissolving all of these obstacles within yourself, I can say it greatly increases and eases the chance of you magnetizing to yourself from the electromagnetic field of the oneness and the love vibration. It will increase the chances that that partner that will be vibrating at that same level that you've reached may find you and you find them. And I imagine that those relationships will spark very, very high upon discovering one another. So please have hope in that, and that hope in yourself, that that's what you are doing ultimately by consummating that relationship within yourself.
Yeah, so it is a process to get there, and there's many levels of the relationships as we're seeing. And I'm just reflecting upon, let's say, the perspective that I took here in the last 20 minutes on this. Actually, I'm coming from a very high perspective and a level of the relationships.
Mhm.
However, at this time, many of the viewers are just beginning to learn more about themselves and the
Mhm.
importance of doing their inner work and getting ready for these higher relationships.
Indeed.
And, you know, and we can also say, while we're still here, like straddling a 4D, 5D in a duality, well, the reason why we're still here with these relationships as well is that they're not just fully ready to come fully together. However, we are at that point where some of these important relationships are. And again, so once they do come together, which is going to happen very shortly on linear time here, it boom, it changes all reality. So it's very interesting, and that's what's coming. However, let's say up here, if you have 12 couples, divine couples upon the surface in their power and knowing what their divine mission is, at creating this most powerful love energy, Well, when they come together up here and you have everyone, all of the other couples, working more and more on their relationship and strengthening it, you can create what I say is a flash point, which
Yes.
changes all reality. So,
Mm.
again, you have, let's say, 12 pairs upon the surface that are very powerful and know what they're doing. They have the divine knowledge to know why they are together, who they are, and what their purpose is. And boom, it's just the amount of energy that is created from that. It affects all reality in a less than a blink of an eye. So that's why these relationships are so important. It's why they need to be purified, but they also need to be ingrained with the divine knowledge of what the purpose is
Mm.
again. And this is why I also say that with these very high divine unions, that again, one must surrender fully to the divine plan to change reality as well. And it cannot be a selfish thing. The two couples cannot run away to the mountains like I tried, Sharon and I last year. We tried to run away to the mountains and have a beautiful peaceful harmonious relationship, but we got called back out. It wasn't time, and there was a lot of things that had to be dealt with. I was ready and Sharon was ready. However, it just no, it was not divine timing as well, because also there were, let's say, things that needed to be worked upon, and to be ready for the right timing too. However, again, what I will say is that there is a divine timing. However, it is not restricted exactly to linear time, meaning that we can expedite the
Mm.
process. We can, by coming together and having the knowledge of what each one needs to do. So there is a flexibility within the overall divine plan, and this is why I, for one, have been promoting the significance of the physical unions, because we are ready as of December 28th. The
Mm.
huge activation of the Orion portal in the reset of reality did occur. And that sets the stage. It did set the stage. The stage is set to enhance this reality and very quickly transition it. But again, it's these higher divine partners together creating this energy that, boom, it quickly pushes us up and changes
Yes,
everything.
indeed, indeed. I'd like to again interact with our beautiful, beloved brothers and sisters and our audience today. If anybody is watching the divine energy that it's working here in the frequencies that are coming through, it's a funny balance. It's wonderful. Rick is making a lot of absolutely amazing, amazing points that we need to be aware of. And he's glowing with gold. If you're paying attention to the screen, you can watch this later and you'll see there's a lot of gold flashing from his hands when he's speaking, and also flecking around the screen. And for myself on this side, I'm completely growing, growing my glowingness of the rose energy. And it's really quite a combination of energy going on here that I have to say is quite a blessing, and quite interesting to experience and to share with you. So I think everyone who's here was definitely meant to be here. Please share this live cast out. Like it, share it, leave us your comments and what you're going through. If there's any questions you have, please enter them into the comments so that we can get back to you on that, and perhaps, you know, maybe take up some more topics that would interest you and that you have some questions about. But yeah, it's pretty interesting what's going on there, Rick, with your gold flashes.
Yeah, I see it get kind of activated when, yeah, to share openly when I go into the higher mode, as you can see, it begins to activate things. And again, it's because of our energy, and this is where our magic is at. When you go into your higher divine authority, when you own your divine identity, when you rise above, uh, the old things like modesty and um, the old ego and things, then you step into your power, and then it shows as your divine authority, and also because of what you are, then ones that are, let's say, not fully awake, they recognize these things and they do pay attention, and they began to listen up. And this also evolves the timelines when everyone says, whoa, this stuff is real,
Yes, yes,
and the
yes.
more blatant it becomes for them, then they pay attention.
Yeah.
So,
That would be, that shiningness would be your true, authentic self.
that as well. And I see your background there, the pink tinge over on the clouds. And by the way, you got a cool background in there. Yeah, I see that love and energy. It's so beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, I thought it would be nice. It's light and breezy, and you know, to add to
So
the
where
point
are
that,
you exactly, if I may interrupt? Looks like you're on a cloud with your office somewhere. It's just all clouds there. Are you actually here in the lower realms, or are you up on the
you know how this place is. You were here, so I could pretty much say that there's a lot of there are a lot of ships outside, and the sky is very active here in this beautiful portal in Haifa in Israel. It's very active here right now, and the energies are high. Of course, approaching. We're approaching more significant dates in later in this month, and very short, a couple of days, isn't it?
No, every day is beautiful. I see someone
22,
emphasize.
2020,
Yeah,
22. But anyway, every day is another step closer and higher in the realms within and without. And yeah, it's definitely feeling like we're on the mothership to good times and better days ahead. And that we're
oh, indeed. Yeah, it's
indeed.
just so exciting what's presently occurring, and at any moment you could wake up and look out your window or your door and see an actually materially different world as well. So there's so many cool things with this, and
I see a comment here, Rick, from Dawn Ivy saying that I am uh, my DM and oh, my divine male and I are still struggling with letting go and having complete trust, says Dawn Ivy.
yeah, well, one quick thing with that is, even though you may be struggling with it, Dawn, uh, as a co-creator, say that you're not, that there is no struggle. And by saying that right in the now moment, then you create it going forward, you open the doors. So this is a typical example of what you are creating, and you're causing the restrictions by, also you're empowering those restrictions, you're energizing them more. So to give you the freedom, just be adamant and say, no, I am not struggling, or that we are going forward. And what this immediately does, it changes your reality, and it changes the energy. And as two of you, if you're to go together as co-creators, you begin to enhance that new
Mm.
reality. So again, it's within your consciousness to remain positive and to create in the now moment by your speech and your thought, because these are very powerful tools of creation, and you can begin to alleviate your situation by doing that. So you may, these are the ways, and you need to be persistent with it. At the moment that you may feel pressure that says you're struggling, you say, I'm not struggling. Everything is perfect, everything is positive. And by transitioning the perception of that, you evolve your reality as well very rapidly. So each one needs to be persistent in training the brain and taking out any negative aspect and transitioning everything in your thoughts to positive, because that directly influences your reality. And you need to create it in the now moment. So even though you may be struggling, you say you don't. Because if you say you're struggling, you're always creating that, because you're projecting that forward into your future and into your reality. So right at the now moment, you say, no, I'm not struggling. Then that sets up events to create the situation where you're not struggling. So it is not a lie. Even though you are struggling and you say you are not, it's not a lie. You need to create this way. So what you're actually doing is changing your reality. And this is from the higher wisdom to do this.
Yes. And Dawn, we really appreciate your sharing of your experience that you're having, and sharing that with us with an open heart. Um, that in itself, um, that in itself is you working already to resolve that and overcome that and harmonize that, because just your saying that is a positive energy inflected into the healing of that already. The fact that you're acknowledging that and focusing on that. So I wish you all of that to expediently come to a resolution, so that you may experience the next higher expressions of the love between you.
Indeed.
Yeah, we can't have enough of that. So yes, our perceptivity and our inner knowing, our active perception, it's active because we are in a constant uh, reviewing and watching of ourselves and acknowledging of our own progression. So that intuition that keeps us moving forward in our present beingness, the current, that the flow, energetic force in the now moment that will project into what manifests in the next moment that will be your now moment. You will feel it differently, and you will feel it in a more positively manifested light. So just letting go of any preconceived ideas and notions, and flowing in a positive direction with all of your heart, all of your thoughts, your words, your energies. And that doesn't have to be like, we're not perfect. We all have days and moments where we're going to say things that are in a different hue, off color, if you will. But we have, yes?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say my stomach is growling at me. It's angry. I got to master that and give it some food and
That sounds good.
Get rid of that anger it has, which is fear. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to transmute my stomach very short.
Okay. Sounds good.
I'll use food with that.
Okay, yeah, and I could use a new I think my tea is gone, it's iced tea now. So
So great. Yeah, so this was cool. I do have some other things, some other interviews and things lining up as well. So
you keep yourself quite busy, don't you, Rick? And I really just want to also thank everyone for showing up and sharing this beautiful heart space with us, and sending much love out to everyone. And hopefully you'll come back next time, and we'll come back next time, or we'll be seeing more of each other for sure. And you can contact Rick or myself if you have any questions. You know, always feel free to express yourself. That's how we can help each other. So much love, many blessings,
Much
and
love. Yeah.
we'll see you again soon. Thank you for um, being here with us and participating in the Conscious Connective Awareness Gateway. That's what we're doing. We're connecting. So thank you for that. Thank you, Rick.
And thank you, Beth, and
All right.
much love. And I'll speak to you a few moments. I'm going to leave and
Bon
speak
appetit.
to you shortly. So thanks, everybody. Much
All
love.
right.
Hey, we did it, and we're just playing out the role and getting it done much quicker. So it's cool.
Yeah.
Much love.
Much love. If you only knew what I had to do to set this up to get it going, but technology will not put us back. We will move forward. Love you all. Love and peace. Oh, I'm the one who has to turn this, don't I? Okay.